Good evening. This is the Board of Trustees regular meeting. The date is October 14th, 2014. The time is 7:30 on the dot. It's meeting number 2014-28. Please take the roll.
President Burry,
Here.
Trustee Carvery,
Here.
Trustee Vorderer,
Uh,
absent,
He's
Okay.
He's here.
momentarily absent. Trustee Quinlan? Here. Trustee Olenichek?
Here.
Trustee Desmond?
Here.
Did I say Trustee Strike? I'm sorry.
didn't hear it.
I saw you come in, that's, okay.
Yeah.
Trustee Strike.
And then Trustee
We have a
Border.
quorum.
Trustee Border is here
Trustee
also.
Vorderer? Okay, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Would everyone rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item 3 on the agenda is public comments, and I'd like to call Mr. Phil Berry up. It must be getting close to Halloween, sir, when we see you. How have you been, Phil?
I had surgery, so I won't
Oh.
be huffing it around the neighborhoods passing these out this year.
And you are an Oak Lawn resident, correct?
True.
Thank you.
My address doesn't match
No,
up exactly.
we don't care.
Want to say to the folks out there, year after year after year, I see increasing numbers of people in the neighborhoods using the Halloween trick-or-treat and candy and no candy signs. That's what they look like when you print them off the website or when you come up here. If I give you guys a big box of them, when you pass them out, somebody
Sure.
comes up? All right, thanks. So I buy a ton of these things and give them to the folks. And when you have candy and you're at home, you put this in the door and the window. And then when you run out or it just happens you have to leave or you go to sleep, it's time to let them know that you're home but you have no candy. Works out pretty well. 18% of the folks like to use the no candy sign, so don't worry about that. The other thing is if you're a kid or a teacher and your ears are saying community service, lots of times kids have found a way to use this as a project to promote through the neighborhoods, find a way to get that out to the other folks and other kids. I know that the families love it. If you ever go to the Halloween sign or the YouTube channel Halloween sign, you'll see all the kids who actually been sort of stopped with their families in the streets, and their responses to these things, they actually love them. Parents love them too. So until you actually find out what this is about and see it in action, you might not understand. Police officers say it's a safety issue. I don't, because that would be a legal issue. I say it's a family issue, just to kind of help Halloween trick-or-treaters get through the day a little bit more creative, or a little bit more efficiently. Thanks, you guys. You've been wonderful to me throughout the years, helping me to help you guys. So
Phil, they could pick those up at Village Hall upstairs, and
I'm going to leave a big box of these
And-
here for you guys to give to whoever you want.
And
They're
people
worth
can
about
download
$2
it.
at the store, so come and get them for free.
can they download them on the website?
Yeah, it's even better.
And what is that website address again?
HalloweenSign.com
Okay.
or TrickOrTreatSign.com. Thank
Okay.
you, guys.
Thank you, Phil.
Can I leave this with somebody over here?
Sure.
Pass it down. Winner.
Thank you. Next public comment is Mr. Mike Sudko.
Good evening, everyone.
Are you an Oak Lawn resident, sir?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Long-term Oak Lawn resident. And there were two things I wanted to talk about today. The first thing was our esteemed clerk, Jane Quinlan, who has attained now the level of Master Municipal Clerk. And of the 10,000 clerks in the country, there were only 44 in Illinois that attained this status. So it's much to her credit that she's done that. In fact, she's down in Springfield right now attending a conference to even improve her skills further. So I think we're very fortunate in Oak Lawn to have a clerk like Jane that continues to pursue her acumen. Secondly, I want to talk about was the haunted house that's going on down at B&E Lumber. It's a fellow Marine, Justin, who served 2 tours, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan, that's putting this on, largely of his own funding and obtaining the permits and everything, and he's doing a masterful job, and I can't encourage people enough to go out there and patronize his, what he's created for Oak Lawn.
Thank you. And that haunted house is weekends, I believe, who knows, I think it's Thursday, Friday.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay, thank you,
And when
Larry.
you go into the week of Halloween, it's also open on Wednesday.
Okay. Okay.
It's
and-
from 7 to 10, but on Friday and Saturday, it's from 7 to 11.
Okay, okay, very good. And rave reviews about it. Item 4 on our agenda tonight is conflict of interest disclosure. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to disclose with any item on tonight's agenda?
Madam President,
Trustee
I
Border.
do have a conflict of interest. Item 14, on the village president's report, you are establishing a art commission,
With your approval,
which I,
yes.
yes, which I strongly supported and we worked on together. But one of those appointments is Linda Vorder. I happen to know her pretty good. Been married to her for 45 years. While this is a volunteer position with no compensation, I certainly do not want to give it any kind of
Yeah.
fodder for some type of conflict. So I will be abstaining from that vote. But you're very lucky to get her at the price you're paying her.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other conflicts to disclose with any item on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we're going to move on to item 5. This is the approval of the meeting minutes for the regular meeting minutes 2014-27 dated September 23rd, 2014. May I have a motion on item 5, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorderer,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Let's call the vote, please.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorderer?
Yes.
Trustee Strite? Trustee Quinlan? Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 6 is a motion to approve after the Board of Trustees in executive session on September 23rd, 2014, reviewed for the release of closed meeting minutes from April 10th, 2008, June 14th, 2010, all closed meeting minutes for 2011, 2012, and 2013, that the need for confidentiality still exists. May I have a motion on item 6, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorderer,
Second.
seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorderer?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Abstain.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 7 on our agenda tonight is new business by village trustees. Mike, I'm going to start over in your district today and go backwards again. Sorry, I should have warned you.
No, that's okay.
What's new in District 6?
You know, Mayor, I'm just excited about the whole development, is the buzz in the neighborhood. It's been a great, credit to everybody. It's been a great addition to the district
Good,
in Oak Lawn.
good, thank you. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay. Trustee Quinlan, District 5.
One quick comment. Last week, MWRD and our crews helped clean up Stony Creek with the getting rid of the debris. So big thank you to them. The continuing maintenance is a huge part of helping us with some of our flooding issues. So thank you.
Wonderful.
That's it.
Trustee Warder.
Yeah, Mayor, a week ago, last Sunday, we had an automobile accident at 95th and Cicero. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. This accident took the life of 3 people, and over 20 people were injured. 11 cars were pretty much demolished. I want to send out my condolences to the families and the victims. Certainly, my 44 years with this village as a police officer, I have never seen an accident of that magnitude in this village. And I need to reach out and tell those first responders, the firemen and the policemen, and our 911 center, what a wonderful job they did. I can only imagine arriving on that scene as a police officer and saying, oh my God, where do we start? It was handled efficiently,
and we put the best face on that tragic accident that we can ever do. And one other thing, I am going to be holding a 4th District meeting Thursday right here in this room, the Village Hall. This meeting will make a presentation on our new traffic signal, which will be going in at 95th and Kilbourne. There will be some curb cuts there and some modifications to 95th Street. We will lose a little green space in front of that outpatient building, but I have a plan in which perhaps maybe we can add some green space to the center of 95th Street, something similar to what you see in Evergreen Park, or maybe something similar to what you see when you drive around Midway Airport. There will be some curb cuts, a pork chop design for Kilbourne, Kenneth, and Colmar, okay, which will prohibit perhaps left turns into the residential neighborhoods, and it will force people to either make right turns out of those neighborhoods or in. So I sent out invitations to the people that live on those particular streets that were affected on Saturday. I extend that invitation to anybody in the Village of Oak Lawn that may be interested. I will have representatives here from the hospital and their traffic review committee to answer any questions or any suggestions made by the public. Thank you, Mayor. That's 7:30, by the way, right here in this room.
Thank you. And it's this Thursday.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. How's life in District 3, Trustee Straight?
Oh, it's very good, Mayor, thank you. I like to talk about September, the month of September. A review of police reports that I received for the month of September indicated that we had 25 burglaries here in the village in 28 days. Of course, I would like to remind all residents to be vigilant, to lock your doors, to lock the doors to your homes, to your garage, the service door of your garage, and your cars. And of course, be sure to call police if you see any suspicious activity. I think one of the obvious solutions would be to increase the number of police officers that we have in town. In last year's budget, the mayor recommended a reduction in police personnel.
It's not true, Trustee Straight.
Have it with me for anybody that wants to see it. While I disagree vehemently with that proposal and support an increase in police officers, I do have an alternative proposal that would increase police presence without raising taxes. Every day, more than 30% of the police force that is on duty is not on patrol. I'd like to explore the possibility of rotating those officers into the patrol roster to complete one patrol shift each month or possibly every quarter. I believe this would go a long way to making our community safer, and as I said, this can be achieved without raising taxes, not even one dime. Secondly, I do have many concerns about the new medical facility that is being constructed at 95th and Mayfield. The building that is going up, you can't miss it. It is being constructed almost right up to the street. For years and even decades, village boards that have sat up here have struggled with existing buildings that are built right up to 95th Street and have vowed to correct that. Any opportunity to redevelop property would always include putting buildings well off of 95th Street to provide for public safety, to provide for pedestrian safety, for bicyclists, and even to provide for a landscaping ordinance that was passed many years ago. I would like to ask our staff to review the site plan and all village and state laws regarding setbacks and site restrictions before construction proceeds any further, because it appears that the new building may create a dangerous site restriction for traffic. When you're sitting at the stop sign on Mayfield, you cannot see the traffic coming east on 95th Street. I would appreciate if the staff would take a look at that, please. That's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. And what's new in District 2? Trustee Oliniechek?
Madam Mayor and Board, I have Jack Lopez from our Village Green Team that would like to update the village residents on our e-recycling program.
I'd like to state first off that I am a resident, so
Thank you.
part of well, the reason I say that is because some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight have a lot to do with keeping our costs down. Recently, the money that we've been involved with e-waste recycling for quite a long time. Everyone knows that's been very successful. We've also got paid. We were able to get contracts where we'd actually get a little bit of money for the stuff that we were getting in, and we're getting paid for that. Unfortunately, the commodities market for that stuff has gone down quite a bit, and so now we're going to have to start paying for some of that stuff to get hauled away. With that being said, when I started researching this, I realized that I don't like pulling money out of my wallet. I don't like the village residents pulling money out of their wallet for something, especially when it affects people. We have so many visitors that come from other towns that are dropping stuff off. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to change the way we're doing our e-waste site. I can't allow people from all the other towns to drop stuff off and add to the burden on the taxpayers. So what we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the hours that we're open during the week and only open on the second Saturday of the month. We're going to expand that a little bit. And this way, the volunteers that are going to be working there will be able to check. And if you have a Village of Oak Lawn sticker in your window, so maybe we'll sell more stickers too. But what we'll do is our volunteers will check to see if you have one. Because what we want is we want village residents dropping things off. If we're going to have to pay for this stuff to get hauled away, we want to keep the costs reasonable. We've put signs up already stating that it's open only for Village of Oak Lawn residents, and I've already noticed a drop-off in some of the stuff coming in. I'm probably going to get dumped on somewhat, to be honest, because people have dumped things there on an everyday basis already. But we're going to try to eliminate that as much as we can too. We don't have enough staff to keep an eye on this stuff. We're not talking about adding any staff through this process of changing it to because my volunteers will handle that on the second Saturday. But one of the things I'd really like to promote, when people are going out and you're purchasing, if you're going to buy a new TV set, talk to the place that you're buying the TV set from. They have, through the manufacturers, a way that they can get paid for that stuff. So if you go to Best Buy, or I don't want to name all the other places, but wherever you go to buy a TV set, if you talk to them about recycling your TV, they can get paid for it, so they'll gladly recycle it. The Village of Oak Lawn can't get paid for that kind of stuff. So I would encourage you to start thinking about every time you buy any thing, if you're going to Staples and you're buying a computer or a little electronic item, talk to them about they get paid for recycling those items. Talk to them about recycling whatever you're replacing. That's a good habit for people to get into because that'll eliminate our costs that we're associated with, even with our e-waste site. Because I'm talking about green team things, I did want to take 1 minute just to tell you about something great or a couple minutes actually, about something great that happened this past weekend. On last Saturday, we got a bunch of volunteers from Oak Lawn High School to help us go around and collect e-waste from seniors and disabled in the Village of Oak Lawn. It was a great time. The kids have a blast with this. Matt Basil and myself, and Kevin McNown, who's he's the athletic director at Oak Lawn. We have a blast being with the kids and stuff. So it's fun for everybody, and it's great to see these seniors beaming when they're having some kids helping them out. It's awesome. It's awesome to see that and to be a part of that. People are trying to hand us money and stuff, and we're telling them, no, that's not the reason we're doing this. It's a win-win-win situation for everybody involved. It really is.
the kids need to learn that, and I remind them, you know, us adults are doing this because we know it's the right thing. You need to think about doing this when you get older because it's the right thing, not just because you're getting some hours. But we had girls grabbing heavy things. Yeah, I don't want people thinking girls can't do this. This is awesome. And we had a whole big truck full, and we couldn't fit it all on the truck. And we ended up, we had to put it in a pickup truck too. I mean, that's pretty awesome that we had that much stuff just in a few short hours on a Saturday morning. And like I said, it was a win-win-win situation. Part of the reason we were able to do that and be so efficient about it on Saturday was because a couple people that are in the audience, Jerry Bajewski and Lynn Harris, both are two of my volunteers that come every month. They're Green Team members that come every month. Hold your hands up real quick, just so people, no, they deserve a hand. Every month they're helping me out at my e-waste site, every month. And then not only that, if you go to the farmer's market, every Wednesday they're there. So they're there every week. So, you know, when people are doing the right thing like that, they should be recognized. And when, you know, when the kids are doing the right thing in the neighborhoods, they should be recognized too. Too often we only hear about the bad ones, and we've got great kids in Oak Lawn. People need to hear about them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. And again, Jerry and Lynn, I know that you've been members of the Green Team pretty much since the beginning. And the great thing about the Green Team, it's the vast majority of the work's being done by volunteers. And Jack, how many seniors did we actually be able to go to on Saturday?
24 homes.
24 homes. So that made a big impact. And I know some of the kids that were there, they had a great time doing it. Sticking with the Green Team, we had our first annual Go Green 5K, 3K walk event on October 4th. In a partnership with School District 123 in the Village of Oak Lawn. Larry Fetchko would love to have been here, but he had a family event to go to. So he gave me a couple of notes. This partnership included a run walk and groundbreaking for the tree nursery at the Oak Lawn Hometown Middle School at the corner of 99th and Minnick. So when you're driving by 99th and Minnick, please take a look. That was a grant that we received from Commonwealth Edison that is going to help this community. And talking to some of the kids that were there that planted trees, it's going to be really cool as they see them growing year after year, something that is going to have a positive impact. But the other positive impact is in our own nursery, we're going to supplement the need that we have for trees in the Village of Oak Lawn by growing our own. The run walk had initial participation of 200 people that showed up out of 275 that signed up for it. The tree dedication, or the tree nursery dedication, went off without a hitch. And again, we had a lot of people helping with the planting of trees as well as on the parkway. And that day, if you remember, was a little bit cold and rainy and miserable and windy. So it was a nice event, and I know that next year it's going to be even a bigger and better Green Team event. So thanks to all the volunteers and the people that participated. I do want to congratulate our emergency response team, the police, the fire, 911, and Public Works. This last Saturday, we had an event right at 93rd and Central where, due to the construction on Central and Southwest Highway, there was a post being put into a ground, and the auger hit a high-pressure gas pipe, in which the response from the village was phenomenal. First of all, to identify the problem, to get the problem isolated, to make sure that the area was secure, get information out to the residents with the reverse 911, and then to watch. I know that Larry came out and was able to coordinate with NICOR, because when you have natural gas coming out from a high pressure pipe, it's a pretty significant event. And getting NICOR out there, they were out there within an hour, and they actually put 2 teams out there. In the event, which could have gone bad, and any one of these things was handled extremely well by all people involved. And, you know, again, I happened to be there soon after it happened, and it was just amazing to watch the communication between the police department, the fire department, Public Works, and then the communication from staff and the communication with NICOR to get that taken care of and get the intersection back up and going, I believe by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And Father Malcolm was able to have 5 o'clock mass, which was a little bit of a concern. Rumor has it he was inside the church blowing out all the candles. I didn't confirm that, but that's what rumor has it. And then from the Central and Southwest Highway construction, we are well underway. If people have seen the amount of work that's been done in the last 2 weeks, it's pretty incredible when that project has waited a long time to see how fastly it's moving along. And just the comments from people that have gone through there. I even got an email from a man who lives in California that unfortunately in the 70s was hit by a car, and he relayed how that affected his life, and he was glad to see that we were finally getting that intersection taken care of. So please be patient. If we have good weather and things hold out, I believe that they're projecting that it should be done by December 1st. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks, that's pretty speedy.
Yes, amazing.
Trustee Desmond, District 1.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to echo Mike's comments earlier about the haunted house and Jack's comments about the young people we have in our community. The village board and the special events committee should also be commended for giving these young entrepreneurs a chance to prove themselves. It only shows the quality of the young people we have in this community and what they can achieve when given that chance. And sometimes all we need to do is open the door for them and get out of their way. I'd also like to reiterate Trustee Waters' comments on the first responders and their professional way they handled that tragic accident on 95th and Cicero last week. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8 on our agenda is the village manager's report. Larry, item 8A is economic development update.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. That was a very impressive presentation by all of you. Lynn and Jerry, I'd like to thank you very much as volunteers, unsung heroes, which makes this community a great community. And when we show you the slide presentation that's coming up, I hope you'll share with the member of your green team their vision to connect one day with the Cal-Sag Trail, going through Wolf Wildlife and through what we know as Stony Creek Promenade Phase 1 development. You will see it. Public Works will be installing signs, just as Public Works made the signs for a fee for the Cal-Sag Committee stretching from Lamont to Alsop. So, Tom, without further ado, and please pay attention to, this will be your first official public announcement from Cooper's Hawk Restaurant. Thank you, Mayor and Board, and thank you, Steve Radis, for putting that update together on the many projects in the community. Item B is a resolution of support for the 95th Corridor Plan. A big thanks to our Oak Lawn Chamber of Commerce. The board met and deliberated and were quite anxious and passionate about passing this resolution to support the 95th Street Corridor Plan. And to Bob's point earlier, Trustee Strite, the Planning Commission and the Architectural Design Commission does take that report very serious, and they always ask the applicants going forth from the adoption of this plan how their submittal is consistent with that plan and whether they're knowledgeable of what the goals and vision are as outlined in this fine resolution from the Chamber of Commerce. So I'd like to acknowledge the Chamber's support of the Mayor and Board of Trustees. Thank you, Oak Lawn Chamber of Commerce. That's all I have at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We're on item 9 now. This is ordinance 142866. This is an ordinance amending Title II of the Oak Lawn Village Code by creating a new Chapter 21 pertaining to the Oak Lawn Arts Commission. May I have a motion on item 9, please?
Motion to approve.
Gonna give it to trustee Vorder since he's not voting, and, oh, not on this, you can vote, never mind. Seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take,
I think it's a great idea.
thank you.
Something that every community should have. I think we all appreciate the arts.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Trustee Vorder?
Yeah, I could just make one of the things that was always important to me, being influenced by my wife, is that every public project ought to recognize the ability of human beings to appreciate art. And as a park district commissioner, I encourage my fellow commissioners to think about every park we remodel, to put a little piece of artwork in it. And if you visit any of the parks, you'll see some of that sculpture work. As a trustee with the mayor, who has a background in art, we discussed bringing this concept to this village and making it a part of our general appreciation of the village of Oak Lawn. So hopefully this commission could further the arts here for us.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Let's take the vote.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much, everyone, on that. Item 10, ordinance 142867. This is an ordinance amending Title III, Chapter 3, Section 6 of the Oak Lawn Village Code pertaining to liquor license classifications. May I have a motion, please, on item 10?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by trustee Quinlan, seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion here? Please take the vote.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
No.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Item 11 is Resolution 142855. This is a resolution authorizing the adoption of the Cook County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan. May I have a motion on item 11, please?
Motion to approve.
Properly moved by trustee Vorder and seconded by trustee Carberry. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Vorder?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item number 12. This is a motion to develop the Edgar property by Hamilton Partners. May I have a motion, please, on this item?
Mayor, if I could, before
Yes,
give an
Larry.
update to the board, what I'm asking the board to do, as we have done very conservatively in the past on development, is a two-stage process. One is to motion to approve Hamilton Partners to be your developer of what I am going to now refer to from this point on as Stony Creek Promenade North, as opposed to Edgar, because under this development, it will no longer be a funeral home. And with that motion would be direct our special counsel, Matt Welch, to prepare the agreement. It will come before you at your next meeting. You'll have it in your agenda package so you can review it in terms of the terms. But if I could, Mayor, briefly, because I think it's very important to make a few statements regarding this project, and then
Certainly.
thank the board for all your support, particularly those who were on the prior board that made a decision to acquire this property, and it was not a popular decision then. And it's easy to forget where we were in 2009, but we had a cascading economy, and we had the retail industry in America, a glacier change, what the retail is today versus what it was in 2009. And recognizing that change, the board made a bold but difficult decision. They felt it was in the public's interest to acquire this land for a couple main goals. Number one goal was to have more frontage on Cicero and provide a transition entrance to Stony Creek Promenade as it developed. At that time, we had no idea that we would have an opportunity to convince Mariano's or Cooper's Hawk or other businesses to come in phase one. There was risk involved, and the acquisition was controversial, but I salute to those folks on this board who made that tough decision. Now, there is a group in this country known as the Urban Land Institute. Anyone can Google it if you like, but that is the premier organization in this country, Urban Land Institute, that provides guidance through developers, architects, engineers to municipalities and other entities in this country. They recognize what TIFs do, what a well-designed TIF does. Everyone appreciates success, but they don't seem to consider the risk. And the risk involved in any of these projects could not be borne by the village alone. We had to secure a partner, and that partner was Hamilton. After much deliberation and interviewing and selection by the board, we chose what I consider a fine partner, and they have proven themselves 100%. The amenities, sure, we could have done the project less expensive without the trail, the linkage between Wolf Wildlife and eventually the Cal-Sag Trail. We could have done it without water feature. We could have done it with less caliber trees and less foliage and less attention to the ambience and the quality of life, which was a goal of the former board, and the current board has remained steadfast on those goals. Having said that, Hamilton, we've been able to come to agreement after a weekend of negotiations in the last 2 days on economics that I believe are going to be presented to this board at a better ratio for the village, and that's a direct result of the success of your hard work on Stony Creek Promenade Phase 1. We're also being able to reuse a building. Hamilton's proposal will go to the private market, secure a mortgage with a down payment, equity being placed on the line by Hamilton, and they will invest an estimated $1.387 million in construction improvements to the Stony Creek Promenade site, and that will become the new anchor. They have been negotiating with tenants for that building. There's very, very strong interest. They're quite confident that by the spring of 2015, if the board moves forward tonight and 2 weeks from now on the agreement, that that building can be anywhere from 90 to 100% fully occupied. So that's pretty exciting. I'll be quiet if there's any questions, but
Thank you.
I look for the board's support to move forward on this project.
So as we were discussing, we need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve Hamilton Partners and our council to come up with an agreement for us to, for consideration, for board consideration.
Okay, thank you. Properly moved by trustee Carberry. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion?
I do.
Trustee Quinlan.
I guess, because there was no paperwork in our packet on this at all. So I am unclear exactly what we're voting on for tonight.
Sure.
Is this kind of, we're going to join hands with Hamilton, and then you'll come to us with what that agreement is?
The agreement will be upon your approval of Hamilton as your developer for Stony Creek Promenade North. Both council, Matt Welch representing the village and Glenn Garfinkel representing Hamilton, who has been the council through Phase 1 Stony Creek Promenade, will start drafting the agreement, and you'll have chart indicating the economics, what the return is. At this point, for example, Hamilton is forecasting what the sales will be in retail. You'll have that information. What the village's percent of that retail will be. You'll have the economics on the sale of the property. As you know, hopefully, Phase 2 and also Stony Creek Promenade North will be, there'll be a purchase offer by Bentel Kennedy, just like they put an offer for it on Phase 1. I mean, they're bullish on this corner being highly successful, and they will put a proposal together, and we negotiated in that first purchase and sales agreement, what's called a capitalization rate, very attractive, and we put a floor on it. It does not have a seal, meaning that if the market changes between now and the eventual sale of Phase 2 and Stony Creek Promenade North, that cap rate of 6.63%, we've earned that. If it gets even better, which we'll be more than happy to take, we get the better of the two. So I'm hopeful that Bentel Kennedy decides to buy the other phases as they're developed, Trustee Quinlan. I can't guarantee that, but I think if we're successful in the development of Phase 2 and Stony Creek Promenade North, that Bentel Kennedy will be approaching this village. And then we will do what I believe the direction of the board has always been, and it's the right direction, what I would call, in quotes, a fair and graceful exit out of the real estate business at that intersection. A fair and graceful exit. And I think that's always what our intent has been. And in replace of that, not only job creation, very strong job creation, but also the property tax and the sales tax, which we've all seen from Mariano's. That's a record. I have no doubt that Cooper's Hawk will also be a record, and I suspect the other stores going in Phase 1 will be strong. And the interest in Phase 2 is very, very strong, as reported out of an annual conference held in Chicago, which is the International Shopping Center Association. They meet in Las Vegas once a year, and they have their regional meeting in Chicago. And Hamilton was there a couple weeks ago marketing Phase 2, and they got a very good reception to that.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, the actual agreement still will be coming before this board.
You have to vote on it.
And
I can only recommend on that.
this is just first phase.
Correct.
You know, and then we'll work out the
We
nitty-gritty.
literally did not
Okay.
finish agreement, and roughly a couple $100,000 going the village's way was negotiated by 5:15 this afternoon.
Okay.
That's why you don't have it before you.
Okay. And then the construction improvement dollar amount that you gave, and I understand that's rough, is that just exterior? Is that interior?
Yeah, I'll-
I'd be interested in knowing what that split is,
I'll give you the numbers and the breakdown. The hard costs are $1,147,000.
What
That
was it again?
includes landscaping,
Okay.
signage, anchor tenant construction. Based upon the tenants that are going in, Hamilton, on our behalf, through the agreement, will be making certain improvements to that building. As you know, it's been successful as an incubator building that has allowed two physician orthopedic firms we launched those. One went to Bluestone near Nissan Kelly. The other one bought the old Hamilton site for redevelopment. Two great doctor firms. And then it also served as an employment center for Mariano's and continues to be used in paying the village $3,000 a month for use of parking at that site. Soft costs include a contingency, architectural and engineering, all paid for by Hamilton, legal, permitting, leasing. I reported to the board that Stony Creek Phase 1 alone has generated over $200,000 in building permits to the village. Fully paid, no subsidization. They paid the full freight. The building permit alone for Cooper's Hawk Restaurant is $58,000. Financing costs are around $20,000, lender's fee, lender's inspection, finance costs are $40,000. So that, you have the hard cost and the total, and I'll make this available. It'll be part of the agreement.
Okay. You anticipate when will that agreement, the next board
I'll
table?
have it in your packet by the Friday before the trustee meeting.
Okay.
The
Literally, sooner it would be better.
Okay, if
because,
I can get
mean,
by the board taking action tonight, that allows both attorneys to go into high gear, because we're gonna try to take a window of this, so far, very nice Indian summer, and get as much work we can get done, subject to the October 28th approval of the agreement by the board.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yeah, Manager Deacon, how many tenants do they expect to get into that site?
At this time, it could vary, but they have 3 that they have been in strong, what's called a letter of intent negotiations with. 3 tenants in that building. It's a 10,000 square feet. It's not a large space, but it certainly facilitates the bigger plan of Phase 1 and Phase 2.
And obviously, they would be responsible for their own build-outs.
I'm sorry?
They would be responsible for their own build-outs. What we're
Yes,
talking
that
about,
is
Hamilton
correct.
Partners
Yeah,
fee would not
it's-
include any of that.
That's right. And going forward is what's called a triple net lease, where the common area maintenance and other costs such as taxes and utilities are shared on a prorated basis by the tenants, in addition to a per square foot rental fee.
Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Straight?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Well, you know, it's, once again, I have a lot of concerns about what we're doing tonight and what I expect we're going to do in a couple of weeks. And it all really goes back to the proposal that came before us, I think it was in July, when this very project was proposed to include an 80%, 20%, 80% split on the leases for Hamilton Partners and 20% to the village. The number of, which we have no numbers, and, you know, not surprisingly. And you know, certainly the manager did write in his till for the weekend that he intended to have these to the board prior to Friday, last Friday. Unfortunately, he was unable to. Suggested that he'd have them before us tonight, before the meeting. And of course, and we don't have them here before us tonight. It reminds me, it reminds me of the sale of our interest in the TIF very recently. And when the taxpayers of Oak Lawn took a $24 million loss on their investment. There was no transparency on that deal. The information that has been provided to us is limited, is full of inaccuracies, and I suspect that this this deal will go the same way. And we could start off with the whole concept of where are the other bidders? Why is there just one company that is going to have an opportunity to make millions on this development? While I can assure you, we're going to take a bath on this one too. There's no doubt. Not sure why. I can't figure that part out because it doesn't make any sense. The partnerships, when our interest was sold, we had $30 million into it. We got $7 million. Hamilton Partners, at best, at very best, they had $2.3 million of their own money, construction loans that brought it up to about $21 million. They sold their interest for $28 million. So they make a $7 million profit. We take a $24 million bath. Only in Oak Lawn could that be a good deal for the taxpayers. But we go back to this deal here now. I'm sure they're delighted to have this opportunity. The deal that came before us I said it was 80% for them, 20% for us. I don't know that it'll look any different. The manager said that he's hired a professional firm, Gruen and Associates, I believe is the name, very professional, that is going to do an analysis of this deal. And of course, I haven't seen that. Don't know where Gruen came from. Why were they chosen over any other firm? And were any other firms solicited for that contract? So we don't know any of that. And quite frankly, who empowered the village manager to contract with Gruen? I know he thinks he has that authority, but he doesn't. I can assure you that the manager's authority is clearly stated in our code to make in the ordinary course of business all purchases of materials and supplies necessary for the village as provided for in the annual appropriation ordinance. And essentially, it never, nowhere in the ordinance does it ever say that the manager has the authority to enter into service contracts. He does that routinely. I could list many of those contracts. They're clearly in violation of the law. He has no authority whatsoever to enter into a service contract. Only a majority of this board has that authority. And I know that the village attorney is engaged with the mayor at this point, but I would ask the village attorney to please weigh in on this issue and advise us, where do you see that the manager has the authority to enter into a service contract on behalf of the people of this village?
Okay, can I ask you a question first, Trustee
Sure,
Straight?
you certainly may.
When you talk about the 80-20 split and your opposition to it, what has changed since you were so supportive of it with the ground lease?
What I was so supportive of what?
The 80-20 split. Because
Well,
I believe you
okay, all right.
were very supportive of it, and I
Okay.
can check the minutes, but I think you were the deciding vote as well.
Let me tell you what's changed. A lot has changed. First of all, I'm sorry. First of all, one of the things that's changed is the vision for the development. The original vision was a development of upscale shopping. You've changed that. You brought in stores that essentially constitute a mediocre strip mall that you could find on any corner in any village. You asked me a question. You asked me a question. Please let me answer. Please.
It's outrageous what you're saying.
Well,
Are you
you know what?
calling
And
Cooper's
never,
Hawk
but you know what?
mediocre?
Never would I support the investment of tax dollars for a mediocre strip mall.
So what
Never.
else has
Now,
changed?
What else has changed is, in fact, probably the most important thing is the ground lease specifically defines the split on the revenues on the basis of leases. Nowhere in the ground lease, and I know you couldn't show me, but absolutely nowhere in the ground lease does it say anything about the dissolution or the sale of that property on an 80-20 split. It is not in there. No attorney could show it to me. You couldn't show it to me. He couldn't show it
Do
to
you
me.
remember Matt Welsh going into that with you and the determination of the value
what?
is determined by the revenue, and that's determined by the ground lease?
You know what? Absolutely false. It is not defined
Okay.
in the ground lease, okay? And I'll tell you, and you can bring Matt Walsh in
Okay.
here. He can't show it to me. What you did is you took the ground lease that defined the split of rents, and you attributed that to the sale.
That is how they determine the sale.
No, you know what? I can tell you something. You're absolutely wrong on that.
When you
An
say this,
attorney
Trustee
who-
Straight,
by
I'm
the
going to
way-
talk for a minute. I'm going
No,
to talk.
no, you know what? You asked me. You can talk all you want when I'm done. I'm not done
Trustee
yet.
Straight, I
You
am the
asked
village
me a
president. I'm
question.
going to talk now, and I'm going to ask
You
you
know
to
what?
be
No,
quiet.
I'm going to let me
Trustee
continue.
Straight, you're out of order.
I'm not done with my answer.
Trustee Straight,
You know what, Mayor?
I'm-
You don't want to hear the truth. You don't want the people to hear the truth about this.
Trustee
you know what?
Straight?
No. Let me. There's a lot. that's
Trustee
wrong
Straight,
with-
you're out of order.
You know, of course I am.
Trustee
I'd
Straight,
like a ruling by the.
I
I'd
have-
like a ruling by the attorney. Point of
No,
order. Point of order,
the
Mayor.
point
I
of
have the
order
floor.
on this
I have
is
the floor. On what basis
the
are you
village
stopping
board-
me from speaking?
If the village
On what
board would like
basis
you
are
to
you sta-
continue,
You know what?
we
I
can
gotta
take
tell
a
you.
vote
So
by
we're
the village
not,
board.
So we're not going to talk about how we got the broker, Hamilton. Who wrote the ground
Trustee
lease?
Straight?
Hamilton's attorney. Let's talk about the facts, Mayor.
Trustee
Let's talk
Straight?
about them. Let the people hear the truth. You
If
don't
you
want
would-
the people. You ran this thing through because you don't want the people to know the truth about this, and nobody's going to find out the truth. as long as you silence me.
Trustee Straight, the proper action, I'm informed by the attorney, is you can appeal my ruling, but I have a few other questions for you.
You're going to let me answer them? You're going to cut me off on those, too.
If you're going to speak as a gentleman and be respectful to the taxpayers of this town and not just be on a tirade, you're welcome to. When you talk about a $24 million loss, what did you understand what the attorney said on how that was absolutely wrong?
You know what?
And Trustee Straight, did you understand he said you had a narrow view of it? You didn't take into account the sales tax. You didn't take into account the real estate tax. You didn't take into account, it's a whole package.
May I respond?
And when you, well, I'm still talking, sir.
Okay, all right. I hope you let me respond, though.
I'm still talking, thank you. So, he was saying you were taking a very narrow view, and if you project that out, it's a very good deal for the residents of Oak Lawn. And Brian, anything you want to weigh in on Trustee Straight? I feel he's being very, very
Why don't you let me
deceptive. Our finance,
You asked me questions,
Trustee
but you want
Straight,
Brian to answer for
you're
me?
out of
Is that
order.
what you
Trustee
you
Straight.
just said? I have questions for you. Now you're calling on. How is that fair, Mayor?
Trustee Straight.
How is that even remotely fair?
You're out of order. If you don't
Of
like what
course
I'm
I'm
saying,
out
you
of
could
order.
appeal.
I don't like it at all.
Brian?
And I'm sure we know how that'll go.
Bob, I think the problem I have is the $24 million loss that you're referring to. The Hamilton's investment is a little less than $22 million. They are going to get $28 million, which is about a $6 million profit. The village, for its share of phase one only, is going to get about $6.5 million. So I don't understand. I know we met briefly, but I don't understand the $24 million loss. It's just,
Okay,
I don't
can
think
I
it's-
explain it, Brian?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Trustee
Thank you very
Straight,
much.
you have the floor.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Where I'll pick up is on that meeting that you refer to, that Brian refers to, where I was explained what the effect of the sales tax and the property tax were on the deal. The fact of the matter is, and everybody needs to understand this, every board member certainly should understand it, is that the property taxes and the sales tax, those are coming to the village no matter what. Those are ours. They have nothing to do with the deal. Whether the deal took place or not, we still get the property tax. We still get the sales tax. The fact that we're going to get those over 12 years, it doesn't really improve the deal as it sits today. As I said, partnerships are dissolved on the basis of equity. And this one, when it's silent, when a ground lease, and any attorney that's objective about this will acknowledge that, when an issue is silent in an agreement, it means it's to be negotiated. Now, the sale of this property, the ground lease is silent on that issue, which means it was to be negotiated, which means the negotiators did an extremely poor job on behalf of the residents of Oak Lawn. They did a great job. And by the way, one of the reasons it was so poor is because everything was handled by Hamilton Partners. They did a great job, and they did a nice job on the development. I don't want to take that away from them. They also were paid handsomely. They got a $7 million profit. God bless them. We're essentially paying for that. Now, when we were having this meeting, where I first learned that they were going to sell their interest for $28 million, as soon as that took place, everybody should know this. We couldn't take our documents out of the room. Mayor Berry made sure of that. I had to come here and sit down with staff to learn more about the deal. And as soon as the words came out of the finance director's mouth, when I asked, how much is Hamilton Partners going to make? As soon as he said $28 million, the manager burst into the room, pointed to Brian Hannigan and the TIF attorney, and said, "You two, out here now," just like that. And they did. They walked out the door, they closed the door behind them, and they walked outside. They came back in a few minutes later, and Brian Hannigan said, "This meeting is over." Okay? That's the truth of what happened. You know what? Where's the transparency, Mayor? Why don't you want the people to understand the deal? If it's such a good deal, tell everybody.
I'm going to rein you in
Share it.
again. I'm going to rein you again. You're so out there. I can't believe you're a business owner. I can't believe the
Personal
math.
attack, Mayor. It's not,
personal
that
attack.
was not an
No, I'm
appropriate
going to
comment.
talk.
Absolutely not.
I will stand by that comment.
Well, you know
because
what, not appropriate, this board
Thank
table,
you,
this is a
thank you
professional
for
meeting.
letting wait your opinion. Trustee Straight, when you talk about lack of transparency, it infuriates me. This went to 40 national investors.
Really? You
Really?
stand by that?
I do.
Okay, yeah. Well,
I
let's look
do.
at that. Let's take a look at those 40
Trustee
that looked
Straight,
at
let's
it.
look
Oh,
at
good.
it, and I have the floor, sir.
Okay.
It went to 40 investors. We had 5 bids. Of those 5 bids, we asked the 2 top ones for their best offer, and they did that. In addition to that, a very public process of public notices and posting was done. And this is called full compliance with the Open Meetings Act. When you talk about closed sessions and executive sessions, the Open Meetings Act specifically exempts real estate transactions and negotiations from Open Meetings Act, and it was inappropriate of you to bring just a resident, a friend, to that meeting. It was executive session material, and I stand by the village manager's actions. It was inappropriate. With respect to your legal concern, Mr. Conley will render an opinion, and we're going to move on.
Madam Mayor, I do have one question.
Yes, Trustee Olenichek.
In this development, Brian, before we sold the property, who owned the property?
Well, J.C. Penney owned most of the land, and obviously various other business owners.
But didn't the Village of Oak Lawn own the majority of the property?
Yes, yes.
So if the Village of Oak Lawn owned the property, isn't it tax exempt at that point?
It is, correct.
Right, I think that that's a point that needs to be made.
Well, I can I just say first, Bob, I think that was overly dramatic about the meeting. I think I made an error on my part to have a meeting with you in which a resident was invited to that meeting by me, okay? It was my
Thank you.
my
Thanks for
mistake.
saying that,
Okay,
Brian.
but let me
Trustee
let me
Olenichek, Trustee Straight, you do not have the floor.
Sure.
So when we met, that meeting, to first of all, to hand out materials, we just had a meeting on water rates with all the outside communities. To hand out materials and to recollect them, that is not unusual, okay? So we had a
Around
meeting.
here, it's not.
Trustee Straight, you're out of order.
We had a
sir.
meeting that had a lot of confidential information in it, that had a lot of information about pricing and everything else, and not one member was allowed to take that. It wasn't just you, it wasn't just all the trustees had to turn them in. We numbered them, and we did the same thing yesterday with water rates, Bob. So I guess I don't understand the problem with having a meeting and collecting confidential materials that really would end up in the press and hurt the village and hurt residents. So
Could I explain why? what the
Trustee
problem
Straight, you
is?
do not have the floor.
Okay.
Trustee Carberry's after Brian
But
speaks.
to finish up what Alex is saying, we purchased a lot of property over a number of years that frankly 2 separate boards approved almost all those purchases. A private developer would not have done 111 Cicero. It was always intended that the cash flow from property tax and from sales tax, which was substantially enhanced both with respect to Mariano's and Cooper's Hawk, and I've given you all that number in those numbers in that presentation. The fact of the matter is, you had a Dark Dominic's, you had a Kmart that was dilapidated, and to say that the property tax and sales tax would have been there is just not true. It would not have been there in those levels. So
With the new development.
Trustee
it was
Straight, you're out of
ours.
order.
I'm sorry, but I know you're not going to let me respond,
Brian,
though.
please continue.
Well, all I'm simply saying is I think you have to look at all the cash flows that are going to get generated by the site. I get that the fact of the matter is that we are not going to get entirely the $30 million from the sale of the property and the sale of the leases. We should have about $10 million left, and my point to the board was that there's more than enough of property tax and sales tax and future cash flow to retire all the debt. At the end of the day, the value to the village is probably in the neighborhood of about $40 million when you look at all the cash flows. So I think this was I think it was a tremendous deal for taxpayers, and that's not even taken to the subjective benefits of what's going on out there. So I don't know more to say.
Thank you,
So-
Brian. Trustee Carberry.
Brian, thanks for saying that. I think you do a great job for the village, too. You work your tail off, and you do a real nice job. You know, Bob, Trustee Straight, I really don't know anybody in Oak Lawn that thinks this is a bad deal for Oak Lawn but you. I really don't. And it's too bad you feel that way. I think that's going to change But as far as, with the developers and counting developers' money here publicly, someone who's done a great job for us, Hamilton Partners, I've been very impressed. And I really don't know why you're not supportive of them. It doesn't make sense to me, because they have done a great job, and this is gonna go down as a, if we have any kind of luck with this phase 2, is anything like phase 1, it's gonna be a great deal for Oak Lawn. And you were part of it. You were here when it started, and I don't get it. I don't know why so like you're saying they don't get, like you don't understand about Larry. I don't understand why you're against Oak Lawn on this, because you're alone. There's not an employee here. There's not a, Hanahan's a pretty bright guy. Does a real good job. He's always available. These attorneys, they're a manager. I mean, who's with you that's saying this is such a bad deal? You can answer. I mean, Mayor will let you answer.
Thank you.
But anyway, I want
I'm
to.
gonna, another person wants
Okay,
to weigh in first.
That's fine. But as far as starting to count people's money in public like this, I don't think it's a class move. I really don't. Especially when people invest that kind of money in our town. I hope they do it again. I hope they do it on 95th Street somewhere, or maybe they'll do it in your district, or Terry's,
87th Street, yeah.
somewhere else. These are people that like this area. And they had success here. When people have success somewhere, they come again, and I hope they come again, and I hope we work with them again. So, and I hope they're not hearing us publicly talk about their money, what they made or not, like they're fat cats. This was over. You guys are. First of all, you're also talking about like they made $8 million. Well, that's not true. They had other costs. They have a company. They have overhead. They have. And how many years are we talking about? So we're going to start breaking down their money and what they made yearly? I mean, really? And their overhead yearly? Well, then you got to really, if you're going to do that, be fair about it and really start looking at what they made over, how many years are we talking, Brian?
Over 5.
Yeah, so we want to start putting an hourly rate to these guys? I mean, that's ridiculous. So I'm, again, I understand what Trustee Quinlan, her questions were in the beginning. Larry, I know you will, and come up with the numbers. We'll have plenty of time so everyone has plenty of time to look at the deal. And next, I hope we do vote. I hope it is a good deal, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And if it is, I'd love to carry on with a great developer who has a lot of momentum going on with a lot of good contacts. When they've all been talking to them, it makes sense to me if it is a good deal for us. Of course, and I'm looking forward to seeing that deal. But again, we're just voting on, putting that package together. And I want to expedite the deal as well. I think it's good for Oak Lawn to keep this thing moving. We got a lot of momentum going, and let's keep it going.
Great,
And
thank you.
I hope you publicly, I hope you kind of watch your words and when you're talking about people and what money they make and throwing that out there, and us losing $24 million. It's not true. This is going to go down as a successful deal for Oak Lawn. And it's not too long ago, the only thing that was in that parking lot were a few cars and a lot of seagulls. So people are excited about this, and you should embrace it. It's got it's breaking records. You should get on board with this, because you're a lone guy right now with this deal. It's going to be a winner. It's going to be good for Oak Lawn. Get behind it.
Thank you, Mike. Larry, you have to weigh in.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple brief comments. And again, the board has this in their packages. I gave it to every board member, but I do recall sharing with you how the Prairie Town Center development was structured here in this community, how the Target deal was structured in this community, and how the Home Depot deal was structured in this community. All done prior to each and every one of you on this board, with the exception of one trustee, I believe, the initial projects I'm referring to. Now, that's what Brian and I had to have to work with, have to extricate this village out of deals that were not in the village's best interest, amend them. None of them call for a return. This is the first project where you have a sharing of resources. And all those other projects were either in a special service area or a TIF. Let me repeat, this will be the most successful TIF. It already is, and we haven't even done phase 2, and Stony Creek Promenade North, thanks to your vote tonight, board, will move it down the path to even more success. And that's the right way to go. We did not abate any building permits like other projects. We did not buy land for $4 million when it was really an exchange to help someone make a substantial profit, substantially more than what Trustee Stride has referred to tonight. So let's just make sure we're dealing with the facts and the perspective. I wish that land had a different history, but this was a 1976 building. It was a wetlands. Let's all remember, folks, this was a wetlands with no landscaping. As Trustee Carberry said, it wasn't a lick of green space on it. It was a parking lot with puddles of water for seagulls and other waterfowl, and a muffler shop. Obviously, what was under the ground needed to be cleaned up. There was an aspect of the Kmart building where there was contaminated soils that we had to address. So we not only cleaned up your environment, we added, as you saw in the pictures, retention. There was no stormwater retention. We added and relocated and widened, soon to be asphalt, the CalSag connector trail. And we planted more trees and larger trees than any development in this village has seen. Take a look at the caliber of the evergreens in the rear of Mariano's, done for the benefit of the cloisters, respect to the cloisters, who've been wonderful residential neighbors, by the way. They've been good folks to work with. They've had some issues which we've had to work through and continue to work with them, but they're our neighbors. Mariano's respects their point. So, to me, that's a win-win for the community. And I thank the board for your support in moving forward on this project. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Let's call the vote.
Mayor, if you don't, please, a lot of comments.
Please call the vote,
Could I
Chris.
make a really short statement, just to kind
Call
of
the
sum
vote,
up?
Chris.
You really don't want to allow
Trustee
me to address
Carberry?
all those comments that
Yes.
were made. I can't
Trustee
address them.
Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
No.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, board.
Thank you. Village Clerk's Report, item 13. I'm going to turn it over to you, Chris.
Yes.
Jane is out of town. She's at a clerk's seminar, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Disbursement Resolution Number 2014-19D. Approval of semi-monthly disbursements dated October 14th, 2014, in the amount of $5,330,572.98.
Thank you. May I have a motion, please, on item 13A?
Motion approved.
Properly moved by Trustee Carberry,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Quinlan. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
Trustee Carber?
Yes.
Trustee Border?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Any general village matters? Okay, thank you. Village President's Report, item, let's see, 14A. This is the Arts Commission's appointments. I can take these individually, or I would accept a motion by the board to take them together.
Motion to take them all together.
Okay, properly moved by Trustee Quinlan, seconded by Trustee Carberry. I'm going to read the names of these Art Commission appointments. Jackie Trudy, Lucy Groby, Linda Vorderer, Tassos Papadopoulos, Bill Vale, Steve McElhenney, and Mary Lou Dusick. May I have a motion?
The motion's made.
Motion's been made. Okay.
Motion's made.
Motion's made.
Any discussion?
Any discussion?
Sorry.
Please take the vote.
Trustee Carberry?
Yes.
Trustee Strite?
Yes.
Trustee Quinlan?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Abstained by Trustee Border, sorry.
Correct.
Motion passes.
Thanks for casting that.
Thank you. Okay. General Village Matters. I want to wish a very happy 100th birthday to Oaklawn resident Bernice Bauman. Bernice has been a longtime Oaklawn resident, and I was privileged to attend her birthday party on Sunday. And I hope I'm doing as well at 80 as she is doing at 100. I wish her many, many more happy birthdays. And I'd also like to congratulate Jody Kenny and the Oaklawn Hilton. The Southland Visitors and Convention Bureau recently had their annual meeting, and they named Jody the 2014 Food and Beverage Employee of the Year for the entire Southland. Excellent service at our Oaklawn Hilton, we all know it, and now it's award-winning service. Early voting starts October 20th right here. And then I want to let everyone know, you may remember the Ice Bucket Challenge we took at Fall on the Green. That was in support of a fundraiser that's going to happen on Sunday, October 19th at 115 Bourbon Street in Marionette Park. The time is 1 to 6 p.m. Tickets at the door are $35. If you purchase them in advance, they're $30. It supports a great cause, a local resident, John Rooney. He's in the area. He's not an Oaklawn resident, but he's in the area, and his kids are from the area as well. So with that, I think that's all I have to say. I'd like a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Properly moved by trustee Olenichuk.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Desmond. Any discussion? Please take the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously.
It's not 9 o'clock yet. Wow.